as Levitt looking to throw. Pressure in his face. He throws downfield. He's got a man open, but the pass is intercepted. Intercepted at the 33-yard line by cornerback Mikey Beresford, who goes down there. As Levitt, with pressure coming right in his face, threw off his back foot and just kind of threw it up for grabs to the far side of the field. And Beresford comes up with the first takeaway of the night for either team.
All right, Arizona Sports with the call as we get into our Forks, Cats, and Jackson. We start with the Jackson. We start with Brian Wright, head coach of Northern Arizona. Coach, despite the score at Arizona State, you said that the guys battled. They played extremely hard. So with that being said, what do you think you learned from your team in this first test against a top 15 program in all of football?
Well, we learned that we might not have as much depth as they do, certainly across the board. But we learned that our team is not going to flinch. You know, they are going to show up and perform. And I think we did that at a high level. We certainly are disappointed in the outcome of that game and disappointed in the result of a few of the plays that we felt like we were really close on, just couldn't execute them against a really good football team.
Coach, you mentioned maybe a few plays. Was there a specific moment or a play or two that comes to mind after you watched the film?
Yeah, I think that what stands out, really our first trip down in the red zone and not being able to cash in down there. That was disappointing. A really big moment in the third quarter. We had just answered ASU score with a touchdown ourselves, made a stop, got the ball back, and convert. We thought we converted on a third down and had a lineman downfield penalty that we're still trying to figure out where that lineman was at and how he could have been downfield. But not being able to convert there, it put us in third and long, and then we couldn't convert. But we were just starting to grab a little bit of momentum right there. And so I think, that was crucial. And a couple, a big, obviously the fake punt and not being able to get the ball back to our offense in that situation were just a few of the plays that really stood out.
Coach, I thought after the first quarter, you guys really settled down. I love the defensive schemes. I'm still trying to figure out your next quarterback how to throw a hot route or side adjust off of something like that when you have 25 people blitzing at one time. I think you brought a couple of people out of the stands, too, if I recollect. But that scheme that you guys ran, the speed, the athleticism that your defensive coordinator ran, really had a top 11 team offensive line perplexed. You got to feel pretty good about that scheming that you guys had.
Yeah, we are. Coach Clark, the rest of the defensive staff do a great job getting our guys ready, putting them in position to have success, putting them in position to keep pressure on offenses. Yeah, and I thought for the most part, certainly there's some really big plays that we still gave up, but for the most part, we hung in there most of the night with them.
And on top of that, Coach, I think noticeably watching you guys a little bit last year is your speed and your physicality with this defense and even your offensive line. And was that a concerted effort when you got here last year to really focus on that during the recruiting period?
It absolutely was. For as much as college football has changed over the last 5, 6, 7 years, and even as some of the rules change within the game, you're not going to get away with not being physical in the game of football. You're not going to get away with not trying to dominate, up front, both sides of the ball on the O line and the D line. And you're not going to have a substitute for speed. Those things still show up on really, really good football teams. And when we first showed up, we went out and hit the recruiting trail hard and tried to go find more of that. And you continue to do that as you build your program. You're always trying to find how do we become bigger, faster, stronger, and more physical.
Brian Wright is our guest on the Wright Toyota guest line. Yesterday we had different college pundits on the show. I told every one of those pundits, Coach, that your team right now is a FCS playoff team. And I believe when you play now in the Big Sky, staying relatively healthy, of course, that you guys are going to make a deep run in the playoffs. Do you feel the same way, even though what took place against ASU?
Oh, I haven't got that far yet, to be honest. I haven't even thought of that. We haven't even gotten to Big Sky play yet. We've still got 3 more non-conference games here coming up that are staring right at us, and a Utah Tech team that's rolling in here Saturday that is much improved from a year ago. And so they have our full attention right now.
With that being said, Utah Tech was where our producer Connor played football at, who you talked to on the phone, who brought you on. What stands out about them on film right now?
They are also playing more physical. They are also playing faster. They are very aggressive on defense. They bring a lot of blitzes as well. And they've added some really good quarterback run game on the offensive side of the ball, some triple option elements that always challenge you on defense. And so I think, they've improved schematically. They've added a few new faces to both sides of the football. And, and I think like us, they're believing, right now. They're believing after a strong performance in week 1 for them.
Coach, and after you leave the ASU game, you look back, you look at the pluses and the minuses, and hopefully the pluses outweigh the minuses. So grade-wise, scoring-wise, overall for your team to take on the 11th ranked team in the nation, how did your team grade out overall?
That's a good question because, you'll ultimately grade yourself from the scoreboard. We try to really work hard on grading ourselves on an inner scoreboard and how did we do our job to the best of our ability each moment that we had, each play that we had. And when we go back and we do that, I thought we were around a B or a B plus, somewhere in there when you start to add up all the grades that we gave individually to our players in all 3 phases. So overall, probably in that B range, and so much more to go. And certainly you learned a lot when you're playing a team like that, and the speed and the strength that they have, it exposes you. And so it was good for us. It exposed a few things that we know we got to really get better at.
Coach, this story is breaking as we speak, being reported. The NCAA Oversight Committee has offered up recommendations where now they want to have just a single transfer portal window from January 2nd to January 11th. December would become a dead recruiting period. Are you all in on just one portal option, or do you prefer more?
I'm all in to one, certainly. The volatile nature of college football already. If there's some way we can slow that down and get less people, moving out of the door and moving in the door would certainly help us and calm things down a little bit. So certainly one 10-day portal period makes more sense to me. The tough thing and the challenge for us is how late that is. I think some of us still wanted a December portal, and that time in January butts right up against really our first day of classes in the spring semester. And so getting new players in as you're losing players really at the 11th hour before second semester starts, or that winter semester starts, is really still going to be a challenge.
Coach, as we let you go, just real quick, can you tell us how the running of the freshmen goes? That seems like a really cool thing you guys keep doing.
Actually, I don't know. It goes when we're in the locker room, so I haven't seen it really live. But our president, President Cruz Rivera, he gets out and really leads the charge with all of the true freshmen. So we'll have a few thousand true freshmen at the entry of our indoor, the Sky Dome here, we have a big garage door, and a few thousand of them will at some point in pregame run through the middle of the field and run to the student section, which is right behind the visitor. So we want to have that thing full for Saturday afternoon.
All right, Coach, good luck on Saturday. We'll look forward to catching up with you next week.
Sounds great. Thanks for having me. Go Jacks.
That's Coach Brian Wright, NAU. They got Utah Tech this weekend, home opener, running of the freshmen, a tradition they've been doing for a long time up there in Flagstaff in the Sky Dome. All right, coming up, ASU assistant coach Charlie Regal will join us, talk about that same game we just talked about with Coach Wright. We'll get his take on how this team's preparing or are already prepared for their primetime SEC showdown at Mississippi State. We are live from Twin Peaks in Tempe. Here's Connor Collins with the first Twin Peaks ESPN 620 update for the day.